everybody, and welcome to Beefmaster Banner. We are your host, Josh Morrison and Jared Strickland. How's it going, Jared?
That's going good.
Good.
Getting a little dry, but going
Unfortunately, I think it is all over the southeast. It's getting pretty brown here. Hopefully, we'll get some rain here soon. We got a couple sales to go over. First one over the last few weeks was Wall Prairie Ranch. It looked like it was 84 lots total. Total money $497,300. And it looks like it averaged 59.20.24.
For the high sellers, we had a tie. Lot 47 was a bred heifer, brought $30,000.
Wow.
Genetics on that was WPR Pole Legacy times WPR Carolina, and then the other heifer, lot 25, was an open heifer, brought $30,000 as well, out of WPR Most Wanted and WPR Ashland.
That's some big numbers.
Sure enough.
Real big numbers. The next sale was the Lone Star BBA sale. 51 total lots, totaled $147,200, and it looks like it averaged 28.86.27.
We had another tie for high sellers at $7,000. Lot 28 was a FMC Flint 7414 times Miss Hood 692. That was consigned by Tom and Deidre Hood. And also bringing 7,000 was lot 18, which was a pair consigned by Hunt Beefmasters.
Congratulations to them. There were some good numbers there too. Lastly was this past weekend. It was the Southern Tradition sales, Clark Jones and Cottage Farms. There were 73 total lots. That brought $808,000, and the average was a big 11,542.
High seller there, probably no surprise here, was lot 65 bred heifer, brought 40,000. Another one of those Infinity Oasis heifers that tops the market every year, seems like.
Can't ever go wrong, and can't get mad at those numbers. You can't say that they're not bringing the money right now. So
yeah, that was a walk of a sale.
You wouldn't be able to tell it was dry in the southeast.
That's right.
Well, tonight we have Mr. Lorenzo Lasater. Most of you know the Lasater name. Most everybody knows the Lasater name. How you doing, Lorenzo?
Doing well, thanks. Great to be with you guys.
Great to have you.
So, Lorenzo, I get most people know who you are, but if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit of history about your time in the cattle business and the Beefmaster breed?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Of course, I've been in the breed my whole life. I'm a fourth generation Beefmaster breeder, and I was actually born in Mexico in 1968. My parents introduced the Beefmaster breed into Mexico and ranched down there 10 years. And my sister, who's my partner now in our business, and I were both born down there. So we moved to Texas in the early 70s for me to start kindergarten, and my dad started bull test here around San Angelo. And so we've been selling bulls here ever since. My dad's now retired, but this year will be our 61st bull sale this October 1st. So we've been at it a long time, and have a lot of family history and things that I can talk about in a little while behind it. But I'm real proud of how long we've been at it and how hard we've worked at
it. Speaking of family, your grandfather founded the breed. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what led him to pick the breeds to make the Beefmaster?
Well, it happened a little bit by accident, to be honest, not necessarily the breeds, but the fact that he made a breed. But to give you the full story, the cattle that he was working with date back to my great-grandfather, Ed Lasater, in the late 1800s in South Texas, around Falfurrias. And my great-grandfather at that time developed a ranch of about 400,000 acres and had a herd of about 20,000 Herefords that he selected for ring-eyed pigment around the eyes. Of course, at that time, everything was Hereford in Texas. And but the Herefords had a lot of trouble with eyes related to the sun and the sand in South Texas. And so he began experimenting with Bos Indicus bulls. And he started buying bulls from the Shanghai Pierce estate in the 1860s or so. And people think of the Beefmaster as half Brahman, quarter Shorthorn, quarter Hereford, or half Bos Indicus, half Bos Taurus. But actually, the Bos Indicus component, that 50%, came from three breeds, which is Gyr and Guzarat from India and Lahore from Brazil. So that's kind of a fact that a lot of casual observers may not know. anyway, he started experimenting with crossbreeding at that time, and in the around 1930, I think it was, he died. And it was during the Depression, so the family was broke and losing land. His estate went into receivership, and in fact, a lot of the King Ranch ended up buying a lot of what was his ranch at that time. In fact, that's kind of a little piece of family lore. The Encino division of the King Ranch belonged to my great grandfather, and that's where a lot of the oil and gas wealth of the King Ranch came from. So we were almost rich. Anyway, he came. My grandfather Tom Lasater pulled out of Princeton to come home and run what was left of the family ranch, and he continued the crossbreeding experiment. It was running basically Brayford's cattle, Brahman Hereford crosses, and he didn't have money to buy bulls, so he started using his own bulls, and he bought all the shorthorn goes back to, it's either 2 or 3 bulls. I think it may be 2 milk shorthorn bulls. He introduced those, and when he saw the 3-way cross, he realized it was way better than anything he'd seen before. And of course, that is the magic that makes Beefmasters different from the other American breeds, I think, or the other hybrids or composites available today, is the 3-way cross. So he stuck with that and closed his herd in 1937, and so 80 some years later, of selection using the 6 essentials, which is the unique philosophy he developed for cattle selection, and one of the things that I think makes the breed most unique. Anyway, so I think the result today is a homozygous beef breed that really has some traits that you can't find in any other breed in the U.S. beef industry or world beef industry.
I agree with that. I think so too. Something that stood out to me, you said he left Princeton, so he was a pretty intelligent guy too. To go along with that, it sounds like.
Yeah, he was. And my dad went to Princeton too. I was the disappointment of the family because it wasn't for me, but yeah, he did, and he was a crazy innovator. He innovated all kinds of things. In fact, his neighbors all thought he was nuts, and maybe he was, but I mean, he was inventing suspension fences and gates, and he was constantly thinking about a better way to do things. And so it's not entirely surprising, if you'd known him, that how the 6 essentials developed and how he applied those so methodically to cattle. And again, I said it about Beefmasters being unique for that, but no other breed evolved strictly out of selection for economic traits. Most things evolved out of some aesthetic. You know, like you could take the Belted Galloway, for example. It evolved because somebody wanted to make black cattle with a white band across their middle. But Beefmasters evolved strictly for economically important traits. And I think that the adherence to that through the years by breeders has resulted in cattle that are truly economically viable, that truly bring something valuable to the table, whether it be crossbreeding or purebred breeding, either way.
And the excitement in the breed right now, I think, just tells the story for itself. I mean, it just seems like it's, keeps getting more and more and more, especially here in the Southeast. It predominantly Black Angus is what you see, and you're starting to see more and more and more people, even commercial guys over here, realizing what that Beefmaster does to those females, to get those crossbred calves that they're wanting.
It's so exciting to me. I mean, you read those sale reports, but it's one after another. We're just having good sales. The demand for the cattle is real, and I think it's a case of the cattle are finally getting credit for how good they are. Through the 20-year, 30-year run of Angus, and the last 20 or 30 years, they nearly put us all out of business. Well, now the American cow herd is mostly Angus, and they're not working right? They got a lot of problems, and so people are figuring out, well, how do I get back to better weaning weights, and better eyes, and better feet, legs, and better dispositions, and all of these things. And the magic of the Beefmaster is it's a 2-way animal, dual purpose. You can put them on Angus cows, and we will help not hurt the grade, but we will create replacement females like nobody's business, like nothing you've ever seen. And people are getting wise to that fact. And the old market thing that the buyer said, oh, they got to be black, they got to be this. The Southeast is a great example. I mean, that was one of the hardest places for a long time to sell Beefmaster bulls or red bulls. And I realized that there's a lot of black cattle there too, but black Beefmasters. But people are finally giving credit where credit is due. I think with all the American breeds, but I think especially Beefmasters.
I agree with you. So when you see, and you may have answered this a little bit, but to elaborate more on it, when you see where the breed is today, what are some things that you notice maybe all across the nation or where you've been that really stands out to you? It could be good or bad. What would you say to that?
Well, in my own world, I'm super gratified by the acceptance. I've had customers for years, and it's kind of keen on the same thing I said. Say, well, we love your cattle and we'd love to buy your bulls. And my dad and his dad before him loved Beefmasters, but the buyer says we can't use Beefmasters. The buyer says they got to be black. And that finally is coming to a close. And for me, it's gratifying for people to be allowed to select the type of cattle they want strictly based on the performance that they experience at the ranch, not what some cow buyer tells them or what sale barn tells them or what the Angus Journal tells them, but what their own experience tells them is the right direction for them and their operation. And so much over the last 20 years, I think what has become the undoing of the Angus breed but is the chasing the grade. In other words, the Angus breed and really the industry at large has chased the grade so hard at the expense of a lot of other traits. In other words, they lost sight of balance, they lost sight of the 6 essentials. So the grade's through the roof, right? When I started in my career 30 years ago, cattle graded 50, maybe 55% choice. Well, now they're 80, 85, higher. And so at some point, how much is enough? Like, how is 100% choice? Like, what's the target? And there's a cost for all of that, right? And so now we got a lot of poor efficient cattle, wasted cattle, all these kinds of things. And so I really think people talked about balance over the 30-year window, but I think they're actually coming back to practice balance. And that's a good thing for us. These are grass-based cattle, not corn cattle. And we're looking for people that need bulls and females that can function in a grass-based environment. That's the southern half of the U.S.
Yeah, I find it interesting you say that, because I was there thinking, as you said it, corn's high, all the inputs are high, and everything like that, and that should feed right into the Beefmasters wheelhouse,
Yes, sir.
So I guess we kind of you talked a little bit about your business and stuff like that. Could you tell us a little bit about what kind of bulls you're offering for folks? You said something about having a bull sale. Do you offer semen and things like that for those that may not know?
Yeah. So our 61st bull sale will be this October. It's the first Saturday of October. The reason we got to 61 in fewer years, we used to have 2 a year for a period of years. And then I sell bulls private treaty in the spring. Right now, so just this year, I've grown my numbers to the point where our sales going forward will be one brand. They're all Elbar branded cattle. And kind of exciting side note on that, this is the 130th anniversary of our brand, the Elbar. My great grandfather first started using it in 1892, I think, whatever 130 years ago would be, in South Texas. So we've been using it continuously in Texas and Mexico for that time. So proud of that. We do sell both semen and embryos, do a lot of semen work and embryos both internationally as well as domestically, and been working on growing the commercial semen market, which I think could be a really big deal for our breed. And traditionally, we're not something that's been looked at for commercial AI. And for the reasons we've talked about, it's absolutely what they should be looking at. And then we sell females private treaty throughout the year. And then I also, the last 2 years, have participated in the Red River Performance Sale in the spring. I had 3 yearling heifers in that, and that's been a really nice group to participate with. So that's kind of our business model. We also, another kind of odd side note, is we sell books that are related to Beefmaster stuff. And this happens to be the 50th anniversary of The Last Philosophy of Cattle Reason, which was written by my dad about my grandfather's ideas and the development of the breed. And he wrote it in 1972 in a drought in Mexico, just trying to figure out how to get through it. And he didn't intend to publish or anything. He just started writing down the history, and it ended up being published that year. And it's in its 16th printing now. It always amazes me. So we sell them on our website, and I would think that anybody that wanted to read that book by now would have read it 50 years down the road. But the people keep being drawn to the ideas, and it's not necessarily that they're Beefmaster people, but they're looking for a better way. Typically, they're kind of holistically oriented, graziers, those kinds of things, who were drawn to the sort of the Beefmaster philosophy. So anyway, it's a fun side note of history that book. I bet we sell 200 a year. And again, I mean, who you think wouldn't have read it that would be interested by this point? But people still come.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's funny how, that far along, folks still haven't heard or haven't read the book, but it just goes to show, I guess you won't say the popularity, but how it's just sustained, throughout the years, and people are still today interested in it.
Yeah, the cool thing about the idea is, I mean, when he came up with the concept of the 6 essentials and culling on fertility and weighing calves every year, and these guys, none of that was done at that time in the U.S. beef industry. Cattle were sold by the head, they weren't very good, and he really went after performance testing and selection at a time when people hadn't heard of it. Well, then the industry swung all kinds of different directions over the 50-year window, and now all of a sudden they're coming back. And again, here's this ideas that have been sitting right here for all this time, 80 years, and now all of a sudden they make sense. It's like people have come back home to the idea of, really selecting cattle for economically efficient traits. And one of you mentioned the efficiency thing and inputs and all that. Well, interest in that is going to go through the roof, right? As people start figuring out that they can't just fertilize, they can't just feed corn, they can't feed grain, that they've got to find ways to minimize those inputs. People are going to be looking for efficient cattle, which is what Beefmasters are.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in today's times. Like you said, there's got to be a point to where someone says, look, I've got to do something different besides spending, on these input costs, because it's just outrageous anymore.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any certain bulls pedigree wise or that's maybe standing out to you in your herd that you are really liking right now?
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with our program, our cattle are largely line bred. I buy outside heifer some, but we pretty much only use our own bulls. And our kind of main lines from my dad and I's time together go back to two bulls, Elbar 7499 and Elbar 5502. So most of our cattle go back to one of those two lines. Over time, that has given way to a lot of number of bulls. The current crop of bulls that we're selling semen on, probably the one that's had by far the most impact is Elbar and Fuego. And he's raised a high bit selling bull through our performance test and sale, I think 5 or 6 years in a row, which is pretty remarkable. We've had a lot of great bulls, and they're not able to do that because to get at the top of our sale, we do a grass test, a gain test, the carcass sonogram. We now publish what we call the ESA index that takes in 19 different performance traits from within that test and stills them down to a single number. And the bulls are sold in order. Of course, we consider confirmation in that, but largely performance ranked on the order. So for a bull to come out at the top of that test and to sell at the beginning of that sale means he's truly head and shoulders above another 125, 150 bulls that he sold with. So the current ones, other than Fuego, the two of my favorites would be Elbar 4519, which is Fuego's son, and Momentum, which is another top bull that we're promoting. Our most recent semen bull, I'd say.
Good deal. Good deal. That's good to know, and gives folks something to go look at, and make sure I don't butcher your name. The name of your guys' ranch is Isa. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's Isa, short for my sister's name, Isabel, and
Okay.
she's my current partner. But a partner, mom and dad's, when she was young, suggested they name it after her. So a lot of people are confused by it, thinking it's an acronym or something, but it's short for my sister's name, Isabel, and again, she and I are partners in Isa Beefmaster.
Isa Beefmaster, and you can look that up online too. So I looked it up the other day, and there was really a lot of interesting stuff that I read on your website too. So it was pretty cool.
I appreciate that.
Now you're involved and have been involved over the years with BBU committees. Would you like to say, kind of tell what you're doing there?
Sure. I've been honored to serve in just about every capacity from BBU committee standpoint. I think the only two I haven't been on are ethics and bylaws. And I've chaired or been on or co-chaired most of the other ones. I'm currently on the BBU board, which I always enjoy. And of course, I'm a past president, so I did a stint on the board previously. And probably what I'm enjoying the most now is I'm president of the Beef Foundation. And it's been great to see that. The program's kind of 12 years in, and it's great to see the growth and as it's really engaged and caught some traction financially, and what we're being able to give back into the Beefmaster world. It's going to be a powerful tool for this breed going forward.
Absolutely. And we had Clark on the last episode, and he mentioned you guys were doing a lot with that, and probably if you both are willing and we can find a time down the road, possibly get you on and just talk all about that, because that sounds like something that a whole episode really needs to be about.
Yeah, it would be fun. I'd be happy to do it. And since Clark volunteered me for this, I'll volunteer him to help me with that.
There you go.
So I called him afterwards. I said, "Hey, I appreciate the volunteer, buddy."
You're not the only one he's volunteered though.
Yeah, he's good at that. But there's some exciting stuff going on, and we've got a great group that's working hard. And anyway, I look forward to sharing more about that. But JBBA convention is coming up, and I'll just give you a little example. We're doing 2 $1,000 sponsorships for that, one for educational content and one to provide the equipment for the sonogram. They carcass sonogram all those cattle, which I think is great. And then we'll give $7,000 in scholarships this year at the JBBA convention. So we've been ramping that up every year. We introduced our Prime Beef Scholarship, which is a 4-year, $8,000 scholarship to get $2,000 a year over the course of a college career. And so we'll give our second one of those this year. And then we just are implementing, and if if anybody has any interest in any of these, the applications are open now, and we'd love to help. We're doing a technical scholarship. Like if somebody wants to go to trade school, welding school, electric school, we've got $1,000 scholarship for that, non-college scholarship. So really excited about the chance to keep expanding and helping folks in the Beefmaster family succeed.
Yeah, there are lots of things, and that's just one part of EBU that makes it so great. But I wanted to go back. You had mentioned the South. You all had a business in South Texas at one time. Do you still have that, or is it just? I mean, I'm sorry, in Mexico. Do you still have that now?
No, my parents sold that ranch down there the day Nixon resigned. And, you know, it would be a disaster if we had it now. Like you can't, it's not even safe to go. The Americans that were down there when we were there, you know, can't even travel to their ranches. So unfortunately, no. At that time, it was a great deal. Those desert mountains in Coahuila in northern Mexico. There were a lot of expatriate American ranchers down there, and really just a wonderful community, great cow country. You know, it's something I'm real proud of. Mom and Dad took, I think, 30 cows. That was their wedding present from my grandparents, and took them to Mexico. So that was in 1972, and I'm pretty sure, at least they were at one time, Beefmasters was the largest breed registry in Mexico now. So during that time, I guess my lifetime plus a little bit, around 60 years, it's gone from 0 to being the largest breed in Mexico. And, you know, as you know, they're great participants in a lot of the Beefmaster events, you know, Texas and other places, and you know, valuable allies. And they've got, I think, the second largest outside the U.S. association, South Africa being the largest. And I think we're up to about 10 breed associations in other countries, which is also exciting.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. That kind of brings me to a kind of a point we didn't have on the list, but you know, you see Beefmasters not just going to the United States. You see a ton of them going to Mexico. You see them going to Thailand. I mean, it's pretty amazing how worldwide this has gotten.
Yeah, it's again, it's exciting to me. I'm just speaking kind of honestly about it. When I came into the business, I wondered sometimes, you know, what can I possibly add to it? And you know, my great grandfather started the land and the cattle to put together. My grandfather founded the breed. My dad sold bulls to, you know, as the breed grew rapidly through the 70s. And you know, I kind of figured, well, I'm just here kind of riding on their coattails. And where I was actually able to do something different and what was suited my personal interests was helping the international front. And I've been to all those countries multiple times, and I love the international work, in particular Latin America. But you know, I've been to Thailand and all over, chasing the Beefmaster dream. And to me, it's really gratifying to see the breed footprint evolve, you know, worldwide. And you know, you guys probably remember a time when you first got started when people say, "Well, what's a Beefmaster?" And you know, that's changing now. You know, not only in this country are they aware, you know, darn sure aware of who we are, but in other countries. And I think Portugal just formed a Beefmaster association. The EU's about to. I mean, these markets are just opening up like crazy, and it's because of the breed's versatility, in particular in difficult or low input environments.
Yeah, I find it amazing. You know, just now over the years, just just crossing those cattle up and making that great animal over the breeding, and you finally have a product that can go all the way across all these different countries and excel. You know, that's just a testament to what y'all did over the years of breeding those cattle up and make them very efficient.
And it just shows they're versatile.
And that is the right word to use for them. They really, you know, they excel in any kind of environment. And you know, I appreciate your nice comment about the family, but you know, there's tens of thousands of people that are involved in this over now. I forget, Beefmaster Breeders Universal Ag was founded in 1964. And, you know, so there's a lot of people been working on this a long time, and it was a struggle. Like, you know, I've been through a lot of years when the association was struggling financially, when the cattle, you know, were not accepted. And so it's super gratifying now to see people succeeding with the cattle, people wanting to buy the cattle to be a part of the association. You know, it really feels like something that's coming of age.
And part of what, you know, I think I've said this before on here, but part of what we said, you know, when we started this podcast is we wanted to reach everyone, especially newer breeders. And then, you know, with the way technology's come, it seems like podcasts are the thing, you know, especially now. Heck, I listen to, I don't remember the name of it, it's an Angus podcast, just to listen to something different and see, you know, what they're running into, what they're working on, and just to listen. And I've noticed now that that's what's happening with us is you're getting folks with different breeds, you know, having conversations about us. And that's pretty cool. Especially I go back to I say the far southeast where we are in the Carolinas, it wasn't. We've been in the breed about 5 years, going on 5 years, and when we first started, you wouldn't believe how many people said, "What is that?"
Mhm.
No,
I've done
like
it my whole life. It's frustrating.
So, and now,
So you know what my answer to that always is when they say, "Well, what's a Beefmaster?" I'm like, "It's the seventh largest breed in the U.S. You have to know what it is. Like if you know what a Longhorn or anybody else way down the chain is, you've got to know what a Beefmaster is." But, you know, again, that is blessedly changing, and I really congratulate you two on the podcast. You're right that it's modern marketing, but it took two people to get it off the ground. But I think it really gives access to people, new breeders, or anybody that cares to listen to different personalities within our breed. The information, not only the sale reports, but whatever questions you're asking people, like it's fascinating to me, and I've been around it my whole life. But I think for somebody new coming in, it's really a way to figure out what's going on, what's working, you know, who the personalities are that they might not have a chance to meet.
well, and I appreciate the kind words from you too, but and two, it gives them a chance to listen to different opinions, different philosophies. Everybody's got a little different way. The good thing about it is we can sometimes disagree, but we're all still working, but we can still work together because we're all still working for that same goal, that same end goals to make the best Beefmaster we can for our end users.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, there's probably not a breed that has as many varied groups or facets within it, but by and large, everything's pretty harmonious. You know, people get along. It's there are some of our competitors that get along a lot worse. Like there's some, you know, some pretty, you know, kind of ugliness that's gone on in some associations, lawsuits, just stuff. And I think it's nice that we've, you know, kind of risen above that, and you know, people respect and enjoy the differences. But it doesn't have to be one person's way or the other person's way. We can all get along.
That's well said. Kind of going along the same lines of talking about new breeders and things like that. So we've asked most of the experienced breeders, what would be your advice to a new breeder if they're getting started out?
Well, you know, it's a big investment when people get in. And one of the things I've hated seeing over the years is people get in, spend a bunch of money, get disillusioned, and leave. And, you know, I've always said we need to not just take their money, we need to help them become breeders, like help them succeed. And so if somebody's coming in and they're going to invest in the breed, I would say pick a program that you believe in, like believe their philosophy, that you like the cattle, those kinds of things, and emulate that program, like buy into that program. I really don't think the way to be successful is to go build a herd, buying one animal every weekend at a different sale. I honestly don't think it's going to take you 200 years to get something consistent out of that. So identify, do your homework, pick a program that you like, and invest in those cattle. And it doesn't have to be one operation. It can be like operations that are in a particular sale or particular area, whatever it is. But strive for consistency, because as a new breeder, it's such a slow process, right? The best you can do is one calf a year. And, you know, my dad used to say, you know, a man only has 40 calf crops in his lifetime. Well, every decision is important. You know, you don't have time to be fooling around with stuff that you don't like, or isn't going to work, or whatever it is. So anyway, just be clear on the path that you hope to do, emulate the people that are successful, and you know, just get on board and do what they do. We've been guilty in the Beefmaster breed of not being good repeaters or emulators. Like the Angus breed, that's how they grew so fast. They would identify a bull that had a trait that they wanted to move the needle for, usually carcass, but whatever it might be, and they breed 20,000 cows. You know, we're all over the place, and you know, so it hurts our consistency, which, you know, has been you know, one of the things that's held us back over time. And you know, that's what I've spent my whole career working on, is getting the cattle more consistent. You know, because these other breeds, English breeds, I got a 400-year advantage on us. You know, we've got to hurry.
That's a really good advice. I mean, I agree with that 100%.
And it goes along with what a lot of the other folks have said too. You know, staying your course, taking your time, you know, not getting in a hurry, as Clark told us in the last one.
Yeah, well, it's expensive, you know, and we need new people coming in, right? We want new blood, but again, I think we need to find ways to help them be successful. And you know, the more successful they are, the more new people come in. If they get mad and are like, that thing, you know, was no good, I got taken advantage of, whatever it is, that's bad for the breed, it's bad for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And if you get in, you know, like you said, most everybody is willing to help. You just have to ask for it. And get a direction, and, you know, set goals. We've all got to set goals of where we want to be.
Yes, sir.
But that's about all the time we've got tonight. Lorenzo, we really, really appreciate you coming on with us.
I enjoyed the visit. Thank you for inviting me.
It was a very good episode. We've got a couple sales. Well, we don't have any sales the month of July, but August we've got 3 sales. August 6th is J&T Farms. Jerry Thomas. It's their 8th annual production sale in Lexington, Tennessee. August 20th is the Emmons Ranch production sale. That's in Bryan, Texas. And then August 27th, there'll be the SEBA convention and sale in Lexington, Tennessee. So not as many sales coming up, but we're getting ready to hit the fall run here and have a lot of sales coming up. And Lorenzo, when is you're all set? I don't think you told me.
It's the first Saturday of October, October 1st this year.
Okay. And it is
San Angelo, Texas. We invite everybody to come check us out.
That'll be good. That'll be fun to see. But we appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your evening to do it with us. But it was good.
Also,
Thank you,
I
guys.
just
I
wanted
enjoyed it.
thank you so much for coming on, Lorenzo, and I definitely learned a lot. One thing we wanted to announce too, we're on YouTube now, so it'll be uploaded on YouTube if you don't have Spotify or Facebook or something like that. But just want to make that
Super
quick.
exciting. Congratulations to you guys. That's fun that it's growing.
Thank you. We appreciate it, and hope y'all have a great evening. Lorenzo, Jared, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Adios.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.